Welcome back to another part. In the last one, we placed down our first camera and we can now visualize the composition in real time as we are making this environment. And in this one, we're going to talk about placing down assets, and we're going to tweak the landscape a little bit according to assets and composition. And I'll also introduce you to a good method that I use all the time, which is a 3-stage detailing method, which I'll get into later on. So let's go into Unreal Engine. So this is where we have left off. We have set a camera actor over here, and right now we don't have any asset to focus on yet, so let's change that. So let's create a new folder first, and let's call it church. And now we can go into our abandoned village, and in mesh we have saved our blueprint church that we have made in the last section. So we're gonna drag and drop this down just like this. We're gonna rotate this, and we have this huge church. Now I think this might be a little too big for this size of a character. So what we can do is we can scale this down to make sure that we have a good scaling. That's why it is so important to have some sort of skill reference in your project, like the mannequin over here. I think this is a little still too big. I think that might be okay. Let's rotate this around, maybe scale down a little bit more even. Let's see. Now this makes a lot more sense as a church, and we're gonna place it around here like that. I think that looks okay. Now let's remove this mannequin for now because we don't need it anymore. And here we're gonna change our focus. So click on the draw debug focus plane and put it around the church over here so we can see the church pretty nicely. Now let's move the camera a little bit to the right. So let's unlock the actor movement again. So and then just click on it again to get the gizmo. Let's rotate this a little bit like this, pull it down and look upwards like that. Let's straighten this out a bit. Now, if you think that this is a little bit small or big, you can still adjust the size however you want. And then let's place it on the ground just like that. I think that looks alright. Right now we don't need this mannequin anymore. I do want to be able to see some of the ground, so let's move this backwards even more like this. Look down, or even pull it down, and now we can see the ground a little bit more just like that, and it looks great. Right now the lighting is not perfect yet, that's why it looks really off, but we're gonna fix that in the lighting section later on. But right now we're gonna focus on placing down more assets. So in props we do have a lot more assets here. Now the first asset that I want to use is the stone wall. So in the stone wall, let's rotate this a bit and place it somewhere around here. Maybe change the size of it. Something like that maybe, and then duplicate this like this. Some sort of like an entryway of the church. What I want to do is change the composition once again. So let's move it to the right. And then rotate this a little bit like this. And let's rotate our church building to like that and move it sideways as well. I think that looks okay. Now another thing to mention is the 3-stage detailing. So what 3-stage detailing is that we're gonna do bigger details first. So the first stage is to do the bigger details, which are the silhouette of the entire composition. So big church, some stuff that is leading the eye, background mountains, all those things first. And then we're gonna jump down to medium details where it's adding a little bit more to the story. And the last step is the tiny details that actually combine everything together. So all these stuff we're going to use later, but let's just do a little bit more of that composition detailing that we're talking about. So we have a well over here. We can place it somewhere that looks nice. So probably in front of the church like this might be good. But again, these are not set yet, so you can still move things around to feel like it is different. Actually, I think I have a better idea. So let's put this well around the church where people can go and get water. So I think now this is good, but we're gonna add one more last big detail that I want to add, which is the light pole. So let's bring this in over here. Let's rotate this around just like so, and let's resize this, move it around here. So now as you can see the composition, this pole is leading to the church, these ones are leading to the church. We're gonna refine them later on. Right now they are not perfect placement yet, but this will do for now. So you can adjust this a little, and composition matters a lot in creating cinematic environments, because you want to lead the eyes to somewhere that you want people to focus on. So I think this is a good start for now, but let's adjust the landscape a little. So let's go into landscape and sculpt. Now right here, it's the change in the terrain here is super drastic. I don't like that. So what I want to do is brush size. I want to smooth this out a little bit. I want to ease this in. Except from this side should be a little bit harsher. So your brush size. Now this is why a good reference matters a lot. So if you have a reference that you want to follow, it's a good time to follow that reference. Now I think this looks alright. I want to change some of the paint layers. So let's go into our dirt layer for now, and then let's remove some of these dirt over here, and then we're going to paint in around here. Again, trying to make sure that every line is leading towards the church. So maybe even around here, just like that. Halfway around here like that. And then let's increase the tool strength and remove these over here because we don't need it much anymore. If we need it, we'll paint it again. And as for the rocks as well, we're gonna remove this like this and paint with lower strength around here to fill in the gaps, just like that. And let's go back into sculpt. Then let's dip the ground around here. So I always like to dip the the ground, the path a little bit more. So for fall off, let's change it to 1, so it has a smooth transition. Like that would do. Now I think this is looking great, except this is so big right now. So let's change the size a little bit like that and rotate this a little bit like this, and maybe even tilt this because it's going to be abandoned, right? So all right, now I think this is looking okay. In the next one we're going to talk about getting all of the trees and foliage into Foliage Painter tool, and I'll also explain to you about some of the tools, some of the settings that we might want to use for the Foliage Painter. So I'll see you in the next one.